This Shabbos we begin to read Sefer Bamidbar. I'd like to call your attention to a detail in Bamidbar that is easily and perhaps often overlooked. We find at the very beginning of the Parsha a list of the tribal leaders. Later on in the Parsha we find the listing of the encampments. Where did everybody camp themselves? Where were they located? And in next week's Parsha, we find that the Nesiim, the heads of the tribes, each gave a gift to the Mishkan at the time of the dedication ceremony. And I'd like to call your attention to a detail that I think often gets overlooked. In the listing of the encampments, we find as follows: Umateh Gad, and the tribe of Gad, Vinasi Livnei Gad, and the prince, the leader of the children of Gad, Eliasaph ben Reuel, Eliasaph the son of Reuel. Those of you who have experience in Torah reading, or those of you who pay a lot of attention to the words of the Torah, will note that there's a slight deviation, because this very same person, Eliasaph ben Reuel, is mentioned earlier at the beginning of the Parsha as Eliasaph ben Deuel, and in next week's Parsha also as Eliasaph ben Deuel. Why here is he mentioned as Eliasaph ben Reuel, with a resh as opposed to with a dal? I saw once an interesting idea cited by a 14th century commentator, not a very well-known work, the Imre Noam, in his commentary to Parshas Vayetze. And he writes that at the time that the encampments were determined, there were 3 tribes in each of the 4 encampments that were around the Mishkan, around the tabernacle. So the leader of the encampment within which God was in was Dan. And Dan was a firstborn. He was a firstborn to Bilhah, and God was the firstborn to Zilpah. So God could have complained, how come Dan gets to go first within the encampment? He's a Bechar and I'm a Bechar. So he's a firstborn, I'm a firstborn. I should also be allowed to lead. Says the Imre Noam, because God did not complain to Moshe when Moshe gave the assignments, so as a result of which his name, the head of his tribe, was changed from Deuel to Reuel. Reuel suggests Re'eh Kel, the friend of God. By not starting up with Moshe Rabbeinu, by not criticizing or denigrating the leader of the Jewish people, that was a godly act on his part. And as a result of which, although the given name was Deuel, and that's the name that he's identified at the beginning when we identify the names of the tribal leaders, and at the time when he gave his individual carbon as a leader of his tribe, at the time when they were dedicating the Mishkan. But here, at the time of the encampment, his name is adjusted to Reuel. So this is an explanation that, in fact, he was rewarded, that Moshe Rabbeinu, the tradition teaches us that when Moshe Rabbeinu passed away, so Moshe Rabbeinu is buried in the section that belongs to God because of this great act of kindness. It's a detail. It's a detail that perhaps many of you have never heard. And I think at these times, what it suggests to us is that we have many opportunities to be a friend of God, to be like Hashem as much as we can, namely, to show kindness, to forgive, to forgo. When that Amazon fresh package comes that was supposed to be next day delivery and it comes 19 days late, and everybody wants to tear into it to get to the cookies, let somebody else go first. When it's a question of making place at the table, whatever the case may be, there's so many opportunities to say, you know something, I'm entitled, I deserve, but I'm going to let somebody else have. This was the great characteristic, the great midah that the leader of the tribe of Gad showed. Not many people knew it, not many people recognized it. Hashem saw it. Hashem made him a friend. Hashem rewarded him. And I think that we too should think about the little things that we could do to make somebody else feel more loved, more wanted, more comfortable, without challenging them, without fighting with them, even if we're right, even if we have that sense of entitlement. Let us hope in the merit of showing kindness to others, of being forgiving, of being understanding, that we will merit to encamp together at the Beis HaMikdash. May it be rebuilt speedily in our days.